Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon or good after evening, everybody. Bobby Teacher here with project manager for Brownstone Construction, and we're here to kind of get it going and get started. So thank you everybody for coming out today. Here for the International African American Museum for the pre-bid. We definitely appreciate everybody coming a long distance, coming a long way. I think it's going to, I even say not even just a long distance today, but it's a long distance to get to this point to today. We definitely recognize everything that's going into the project, and we thank everybody who's helped to get it to this point of today. And so we're just excited. You can't tell the excitement and anticipation going on. So what we're going to kind of go over today is we're going to go through a few introductions of our team, kind of the community commitment, a little bit of the project description, let you know how the project's going, the construction timeline, a little bit of the logistics of the project, and then the bidding process that we're going to have for the project. A little bit of the minority women business enterprise participation, the project website, and then we'll try to do a little networking afterwards to kind of answer any questions and things we might have out there. And we'll throw this out there as well. Because it's such a large crowd, let's try to hold all the questions to the very end, and we'll probably end up answering along the way. And if we have any at the very, very end, let's try to kind of go through it there. That way we can kind of get past all that good stuff. All right? So from our side, this project, as you know, is city, state, and private donations that kind of got it to this point. And so this project is a City of Charleston project. And so Peter and Edmund with the city, they're the senior construction project manager and then the deputy director for capital projects. We work directly hand in hand with those guys, kind of getting where we're at today and where we're moving forward towards. And then from the International African American side, programming team, you have Mr. Michael Moore, and then you have Miss Marion Gill, which I know she doesn't like being introduced, but back here in the back, Miss Marion. Get a chance to meet them. Definitely introduce yourself. They have a large team. Their team is way bigger than the two of these up here on the screen. So get a chance to meet them. Definitely reach out to them and talk about some things. From the design team side, so the architect of record is Mooley Nolan. The Paycop Freed is the design architect. Ralph Applebaum and Associates is the museum planning and director for the design. Hood Design Landscape. Then you have Guy Nordstrom, which is a structural. ARUP is doing your MEP, your fire protection, your IT, your fire alarm, and acoustic, and lighting. And then Forsberg, they're doing your civil engineering. And then Collins Engineering is your site engineers. And then to kind of introduce our team from our side that we have here today. For construction management side, this is a Turner Brownstone joint venture as the general contractor for the project. And so for the executive management, we have Mr. Jeff Owens with Turner Construction, and then Dale Collier from Brownstone Construction. Introduce Ms. Darlene Gower in the back for the diversity manager from Brownstone. Kim Gardner is the director of community and citizenship. And then Ms. Allie, who's back there, did your registration. And if you have not registered, please make sure you signed in. And then Mr. Dan O'Connor, working here with our procurement management team. And I don't have David up on the slides, but he's here. Mr. David Floyd is also on our pre-con management team side, to help from that side. And then myself, project manager. We're also working with McKissick & McKissick. They're also one of our associate executive management. So Lisa, from their side with experience of the museums and everything they've done from the National African American Museum to the MLK Memorial. They've done a lot on that side, so bringing a lot of that experience here to this project and what we're doing here. And Dan, I didn't know if you want to introduce you. I'm just flying through these.
No, you're doing a great job. I don't have time.
Just to kind of let you know from the project side, we understand completely what this project means, not only to us as general contractors, but to the contracting community and then the community at large. And so here with the International African American Museum, beyond just the big title of what it is, it's just one of these projects that only come around once in a lifetime. And so our commitment to the community is deeper than just saying we want a drywall or we want a painter, we want somebody to do flooring. We understand the commitment deeper from a side of doing as much as we can. And somebody actually asked us this, which was funny. That's why I put it up here on the slides. What have you done to reach out to people? Literally today, and we literally came from an SBA, Small Business Administration, meeting where we were presenting the exact same, well, most of the same slides, but letting them know about the pre-bid today. And so to date, we've done things like the Turner School of Construction Management, the Brownstone Institute. We've even done minority women business outreach to the Royal Baptist Church, where we tried to do our first one. We did joint venture outreach, where we brought a lot of contractors in for the National Association of Minority Contractors. We did a roundtable with a whole bunch of organizations. So anybody from SCDOT to SCORE, LDC, all the organizations, we try to bring them around the table so then they could let their organizational members know that, hey, this project is real, it's going on, here's the dates, please share the information. And hopefully some of you guys got that information, that's why you're here today. So as a project, Turner Brownstone, we understand the bigger picture of this. And we know that after the project is done, we understand that it will continue on of including the community. So if there's any issues that come up or anything that we know, this is going to be a nice fiery charged project all the way through. And we want to make sure that you guys are included well beyond just the project, but what can you do for the community and what can you do from the programming side and things like that with the museum. So definitely stay engaged, keep questions coming, and we definitely want to make sure it's a great project. So a little bit about the project. So the International African American Museum, you're sitting right now in the Charleston Maritime Center. It's located at the 14 Wharfside Street, right next door. This project's about 40-some thousand square foot building. It's under the International Building Code of 2015, and it would take too much time to explain the historical significance of this location. The easiest fact that a lot of people kind of hear about, we reiterate all the time, is that this is the location where almost over 40% of all slaves in America came through, literally through that port right there. So the historical significance of this project, again, is deeper than just the construction of the building. It's really deeply tied to the community. We understand where it's going, and we understand what we're trying to do with it from that side. So understand we're trying to include as many people as possible from the community, and how does it actually reflect into some of the bigger things that are going on. And people always ask the question too, does it meet the height restriction for buildings? So we threw this in there as kind of a fun fact of, yes, it's at 52 feet and 10 inches at the tallest point. So we're way under some of the restrictions that are there. I think it's pretty good for what it's worth, but definitely we can't reiterate more than enough the historical side of this project and why the reverence of what we're doing. We'll always reiterate it through the entire project to kind of, we call return to purpose for a lot of things that we do. So to kind of show just a little bit of what the project looks like. So from this side, this is the architectural rendering of it. And I don't know if we can kind of dim a light or two. I don't know. You can see. Can y'all see? Oh, yep. I don't know if you can see it or not. You kind of see right here from the wharf side, coming in from where we're at on the project. You have the marina that's here. You're sitting upstairs right now in the Charleston Maritime Center. And so what you'll have is your basic walkway where we keep everything where it's at. A lot of your landscape, it's a little bit different from this animation. It changed just a little bit at the time when we did the final permanent drawing. But you're talking about your reflecting pools that are here as a walkway that goes in. Ignore a little bit of this wood bamboo. It's not down there. Again, it changed a little bit from the animation. But your concrete finish, your tabby columns that are out there. So we're sitting on about, what are we, like 290 some piles? 292, that was off by 2. 292 piles. And then you're sitting up here, we're on 18 columns that it sits on. It kind of goes up from level 0 into level 1, where you'll have your double rotating doors that go into the main lobby of the area. A lot of your wood all the way through here is kind of in that entrance area as you come up. And then to kind of show a little bit of the animation that comes back out, you see a little bit of the landscape on the sides. And again, your concrete pavers that come all the way out, that go right on back out to the street side. Again, this has changed just a little bit, and I'm more than certain it'll probably change again. No designers in here, right? So it'll probably change just a little bit again, but this kind of gives you an idea of where it sits. You can see kind of where we're going, what the project, how it literally fits into the space, no less than like 80 feet from where we're sitting right now. So, I think that's good.
I was walking up and I kind of, you see that piece of land out there, and you said, man, this isn't big enough for what we have to build. But I promise you it is, but it's going to get kind of shoehorned in there. It's going to have a great view.
It's going to be a tight fit. So, and that's also another good point of, we understand we're working in a downtown environment. We have very limited space. And so we're getting very, very inventive with a lot of our lean concepts to actually get the project in build, what we can do on site, lay down areas and things like that. So at your time of bid, when you send in your bid, kind of keep that in mind of the place that we have and how much space and what you can do to help us, maximize the space that we have and kind of reflect that in your bid a little bit. All right, look at that. It came right back up on the first try. So to kind of show this a little bit in the drawings that some of you guys already have that you're actually able to see. Again, on the ground floor and entrance, and Dave, you are more than welcome to come and explain this if you like. So you're talking about from your ground floor, where it's your basic entrance, coming off of Inspection Street and then off the marina side. You saw in the video, again, the reflection pools over here on the marina side. And then what's not shown in that video was the burns that are kind of out there on the outside of landscape as you come off of Cannon Street. And your inspection side street will be your main entrance as you walk into the project from the ground level. Here on the second floor, so you're talking about your Family Life Center, all the different areas where the programming and all the meeting space happens, into the Geechee Goa Center, food court, a lot of other areas where the project is going for the second letter. So think of the second level as kind of your museum level. This is where all the magic happens. This is the main area. And from our design meetings that we went to in a few of the presentations, the concept is kind of like what most, like the aquarium is, where it's a 24-hour site. So you can come by here at night as a city property, and hopefully at night you can come through and walk at night, you can kind of see it. But in order to get up to the second level or in through the second level, you have to go through those doors, and that's where it remains locked at night. So the site basically is where you're walking in and you're able to see the area, kind of be a part of the project, even if you're not inside of it. And then you keep going up to the third floor, that's the office level. So you have a lot of your office space, mechanical, where your electrical rooms are, some of your janitorial closets, elevator machine rooms, and then the big conference space is up here. So that's basically a lot of where the administration is, and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, kind of back of house. And then your last area is your roof area. And so up here is basically your main membrane roof, but the biggest important part is the skylight that's here in the middle. And so that's one of those big areas that we're looking at to make sure that we highlight. And then two of your stairs that are coming off the north side of the building that elevate down to where we're at. And so that's the main big piece of the building. And then I want to be able to highlight some other pieces of the building. So on the exterior of the building, you're looking at some of the main pieces. And we kind of pull this out because it's always a great functioning piece. So you're talking about on the outside of the building is, I mean, you're talking all brick for the most part on that north and south side of the face of the entire building. And so we love pulling this out because this is one of those main features that the designers wanted to be able to bring to the project. And should we put it out here with it? With if you in the bid, if you're building, I don't know any masons or concrete companies in here. Nobody wants to identify? They're on our bid list. I know that. So that piece of understanding where the masonry brick goes is a huge component between that and the architectural wood as the biggest pieces of the museum that the architect wants to highlight, because it's the first thing you see, it's the flagship when you're coming into the project.
Specifically the color of the brick as well as the shape of the brick. And so it's a custom brick. If you're Mason, there's two bricks that are selected. One is a Danish brick, the other is a Carolina brick. They're both much thinner and longer in profile than you would have as a custom, like a standard brick. Right? It's a much different brick, so make sure you pay attention to that.
So some really big, these are like key components that we're trying to make sure it's just not your standard bid. And then like you saw in the video, you're coming down your walkway, on the columns, there's some tabby finish that's on there to kind of mimic a little bit of the seashell of Charleston that's on there. We have all these big pieces of it that I think we have a couple samples that we can actually give people at time of bid if you win to help you out with that. Locally sourced for some of this. I'm going to go back to the brick. We're trying to get inventive with it, so price matters. So Dan doesn't want to say it, and David does it. Dan?
That's where we live and breathe, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the other one is this sapella wood, which is the brown wood here at the face of, it's on both sides, right, Tommy?
I got a pointer, yeah.
Another piece of it. All right, perfect.
I think the pointer works. Right up there.
And then the other piece was the stone pavers on the main level too, right?
Yeah.
Specific items on there.
So it's kind of great for the piece of it. For where it sits here on the project for Charleston, I mean, it's amazing. Just imagine from a distance away. So the exterior, pretty straightforward, but some very highlighted pieces. Again, there's some signage that's going up here. On the opposite side of, this is the south, this is the west side looking east. On the opposite side, there's some Philip Simmons gates specifically out there, where they have a couple of them that are going up, some of the iron rock gates on the opposite side. So there's some key features that are called out as specialty features that we're going to need in the building for the project. And the interior side of it. All right, so we talked a little bit about the museum space. all the way through the entire building. And so some of the key features that are in here that they pointed out was the stucco ceilings that are in here, a little bit of the painted stained wood cladding, like Dan had mentioned, a lot of the wood flooring and some of the walls, the metal studs, obvious with the gyp that's in there, toilet accessories, plumbing fixtures, kind of some of the standard things, roller shades, and then the skylights, what we mentioned up here at the very top. Very few companies that can do that, and that's amazing. But that's one of those ones that are out there. And then kind of the signage that's in the building. So a lot of your wayfinding, a lot of the things that are there. It's part of the project. It's big. We want to make sure we highlight it because those will be parts that when you bid it, we want to make sure we call some of those items out specifically in your bid because they're kind of obvious on the project. So the big construction timeline. I'm gonna let you grab this one.
Absolutely. I wrote some notes down here to help myself with where we're at. So this is exciting for us because Bobby and I came down and we interviewed for this job almost a year ago, right? So we're excited to get moving here and really get this job underway and under construction. So we launched the bids 10/22. Hopefully you all received it. We launched it through Building Connected, and that's the platform there where we're issuing the documents and drawings, specifications. We're going to go through all that a little later in the presentation, as well as a bid manual. The bid manual is where we house everything that you need to know as it relates to how to bid the job. Everything from a project-specific safety manual all the way down to our lean practices, as well as our practices as we tell you about the schedule or logistics plan. So make sure you get that information. If you have questions or comments or can't find anything, some of you have already been communicating to David Floyd, and that's why we wanted him here today. Easy, quick questions we'll answer today. If it's a more in-depth question, we would ask you to put it in writing and send it in as an RFI. We plan on issuing addenda number 1 with some more information. We always like to issue planned addendas, so we schedule them so that you don't get information on day 1, day 2, day 3, and then it's just information overload and you stop looking at it. So we're going to have two planned addendas. The first one is 11/2, which is this Friday. You'll get some more information. A couple of scopes of work that we had to develop a little further because there was a little bit of confusion. I want to say it was security and communications, some of the low voltage stuff. So if you're looking for those will be coming out this Friday. Addenda number 2 will be next Friday, 11/9. Hopefully that'll be all the RFIs that this room develops, as well as all the other bidders. Send those off to the architect. The architect can answer the questions, and then we can issue that group of RFIs and then the other pertinent information to you following. That'll be on 11/9. Bids are due 11/16. Hopefully we can get this done before Thanksgiving. So as any project, some things happen from time to time, but we're hoping and we're going to try to stick to that date the best we can because we have to get this job moving. So 11/16 is the current bid date. From there, that'll allow this team to be able to do scope review meetings with everybody that turned in a bid to make sure that you've bid the job properly and understand all of the expectations and requirements of the job that Bobby and I and David, as well as the rest of the team, has tried to relay in our scopes of work and our bid manual. From that, we will then provide a package to the city. There'll probably be some back and forth between us and the city to clear up any assumptions and clarifications that our team made back to the city. The city will have some information back to us. At some point, we'll establish a GMP, then we'll submit it to City Council for approval. Hoping to have shooting for City Council approval late January. Late January, City Council approval gets us to be into the field and starting construction in March. All of that information should have been in the schedule outline that we submitted in the bid manual. So substantial completion 18 months later. Again, that's in the construction schedule. Okay.
Really good key dates and things that are out there. And we'll stress again, November 16th, November 16th, November 16th, deadline for bids. To kind of go over a little bit of the logistics, again, like we said, the site's tight. We're sitting on a very small site. So we're always thinking of hours of operation. The city's always letting us go from 7 to 7. We're trying to get some variances in there so we can get a little bit more time. It's typical downtown projects. We have residents on that side, the dockside condominiums, and then you're talking about tourism that's going on this side. And so a lot of the things we're always thinking about is being a good neighbor. We understand completely when we're driving piles. If you've ever been around piles, it's a pretty consistent nuisance. And so it's that piece of understanding that everything we do out here, we're affecting somebody. And so beyond just thinking about the project, what do we need to do to build it? What are we doing to the people around? And so we're always keeping the community in the know. So when you jump onto the project, if you're ever so fortunate to be a part of the project, you will be giving updates to the community to kind of let them know where the project is, what will we be doing in the next month, 2 months, look out ahead. That way we can help them schedule a lot of the things we're doing. And then talking about a little bit of the material delivery, you can kind of see, so again, Cannon Street, and then you're talking about where we're coming out. So the truck route, if you can kind of see, this up here is the aquarium. You're talking about dockside condominiums, and then you're talking about wharfside street that's right here. And so we understand completely that there's a lot of, this is a tight site. And so when you're coming through with your materials, regardless if it's steel, whether it's piles, whether you just have a 53-foot bed truck, we have to think about how are we getting it in here. And so this is always the piece of what we're looking at is if you're coming off 26 or you're coming over 526, how will you get your material to the site? And so we'll work on some of that once we get kind of logistics in place and how can we get some of that things that are there. And then as always, we're always talking about a clean site at all times. So that's always something that we're always trying to push out there. So the logistics piece of it is huge. We're going through a lot of planning with the city, a lot of planning. And so right now we're trying to get things like streets shut down for us. What times can we pump concrete? When can we, and afterwards out there too, we was in that transportation and traffic meeting. Somebody asked, can we park on Cannon? Like they said, will you allow people to park on Cannon Street over here in front of the aquarium? Let you know now, we will tow cars. Turnkey, turnkey towing or whatever it is around here. It's that piece of the city has told us we cannot stop the street. We can't hold up traffic. We can't hold up, especially they have like a big festival or something that day. It's being a good neighbor of that piece of it. So definitely can't kind of think about that. We're working on ways to get parking and how can we get creative in some of those areas. And we're trying to free up some parking for some of the guys now. So bid packages.
So this is a quick list. It's on the handout, I believe, that we handed out today. It is. Should be a scope of work. Scope of work, additional provision put out for each and every one of these. Please pull it down and read every line of it. They are not generic. They are specific to this job, as well as pay attention to the addenda. It's common for us to get more information from the bidding process and get more information from RFIs, revise the scope of work and issue it in either addenda 1 or 2. So please pay attention to that. We will make every effort to give you a cover page when the addenda comes out that says these are the documents that have changed, whether it's drawings, specs, or scopes of work, so that you're clear what the addenda actually represents and you don't miss something. But please pay attention to them. There were a couple missing, as I noted. There might be a couple more that we break out. So this was an effort to get the drawings out there so that folks could start turning it. It's a little bit longer of a bid period that you've probably noticed than you may be normally seeing. We give you 4 weeks. So from the day that we put the drawings out to the day we're taking bids is 4 weeks. Normally we would give 3 weeks. So we wanted to make sure that there was clear communication as well as we could generate as much interest as possible. So we'll have more time for allowing these questions and answers.
One thing, on the instruction to bidders, there is a list of the submittals you turn in your bid. First one is a bid form. Second one is the scope of work that describes your package. Would like that turn in and initialed as well. And then a couple of participation forms that would go as well. There's 4 documents that would turn in. Those are all on the website. Crucial.
I know you guys can one way to take questions, but I've signed up. I've
Never got an invite. Let's make sure we get this information. We can add your bid connected. You get an invite. Yeah, definitely.
Quick ways, my email's on this list. Should be note. I'm sure you get.
Yeah, the key to the castle, David Floyd. You want to get an invite to the project. His contact information is right there at the top. Because a lot of times Dan and I get emails, we just forward it on to David. So that's definitely a good way. And like Dan mentioned, these aren't your typical bid packages. Please take a look at them, look deep into them. Somebody always asks the question of set-asides. Again, because this is city and state and private donations, we can't set aside any work for anybody or any person per se. But if you look at the typical bid packages where it's only, what are we talking, like 30 30 scopes, 32 sometimes. We're almost up to 40, if not 35, and we're still talking about two or three more out there. And we might even get even more dicey once some of these general trade packages come back.
If you get an invite through Building Connect that says we're inviting you to bid drywall, but you don't do drywall, you do paint or something like that. Doesn't matter, the packages are there, we'll accept a bid from you from whatever field that you're qualified to produce. So don't feel like we're trying to push you into a slide just because it comes through saying you've been invited to bid a particular trade. We're asking you to participate in the trade that your expertise falls on. So which maybe any one of these 40 packages.
Right.
And multiple packages if you want to bid more than one package.
That's a key. Say that again for them.
Multiple packages. If you want to bid more than one bid package, we'll welcome that. We just ask that you turn them in as separate bids. For example, if you want to bid the electrical package, you want to bid the site coverage package, turn in the site coverage. There's alternates in there. Alternate forms on the bid form if you want to look at that as well, but we ask that you bid the packages separately.
So, multiple opportunities. This is the piece that's kind of in there that we'd like to talk about a little bit of additional procurement on the programming side. So after the construction, there will also be things that are needed for the museum side. So I will shamelessly throw Marion out there to say go bug her here after the meeting. That if you want to know what some of those packages are, she gave us these kind of areas that she's looking for. But it's that piece of looking beyond just the construction. There will be needs on the programming side. And so if you do IT for construction, guess what? They'll need IT for the building as service and whatnot on that side. If you do, same as on our side, we're going to need, somebody asked, what was that when we were in? And somebody asked, what's a chef doing at these meetings? Or what is somebody who sells notebook paper or printing paper? Guess what? We will need all that stuff on the job. We will need to feed guys. We'll need to feed the workers. We'll need paper. We'll need toilet paper for our bathrooms in the office. We'll need all that. We'll need pencils, pens, all that good stuff. So there's no trade out there that we are excluding. So we want to be able to take as much as possible, but understand they'll need the same thing on the museum side. And so I'll throw it out there again shamelessly. Go bug Marion here after the meeting. Marion, you want to stand real quick?
Also services post-opening.
Definitely. So you heard it right there, straight from the source. All right. So we'll talk a little bit about the bar mock-up and why it's so special here in this project.
And I asked this for the slide to get into this slide deck. If you haven't pulled this down and looked at it in the bid documents, please do. It's a fairly substantial building architectural review mock-up. And it looks like a miniature set of what we're getting about to build, and it's each and every product and how they're going to interact with each other. So there's some of that tabby that Bobby was talking about. There's some of that sapella wood. There's some of the stone. There's the brick. A little bit of everything. And so, in order to get the project approved and all the products approved and moving forward, this has to be done early. So this can't wait until late in the job to get approved. So if you have a concern about getting some of those products, please look into expediting them. Please look into getting whatever's required for this, but there is a full set of bar documents in the bid set that you have to pay attention to because we have to build that and leave it up for pretty much through the completion of the job. So it's going to have to, Bobby and I were looking at this the other day. It's not spotted on the drawings. So I think what we're going to have to do in the addenda is spot it for you and tell you it's going to be out near the road. Maybe we can flip back to show you and exactly spot it for you in this meeting, but in the addenda we'll tell you where to plan that mock-up to be. It's going to have to be built, it's going to have to stay there, and it will also be a quality control measure too, right? So when the brick looks like this, and then you turn around and it doesn't look like that on the building, it's coming down, and we're going to have to redo it.
So bar is, there's no designer there, right? Bar is fun. It's a full process. To kind of talk a little bit about some of our additional provisions that are in the packet as well. You guys want to touch on it, or you want to kind of?
Yeah, I think the next one kind of.
Yes, the bid manual for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much the same stuff. So this is what I was talking about in the bid manuals, really. You got the drawings, you got specs, and then you got everything else. So we put everything else into this bid manual, and this is how we're gonna run the job, the invitation instructions to bidders. I don't need to read all these for you. There's a table of contents on the bid manual. Make sure you read and acknowledge each one of these, because this will be part of your contract. Your contract will consist of the base form of agreement, the additional provision, which is the scope of work that you're gonna bid, and then the bid manual. All of these documents are going to be made part of your contract. So please read it and make sure you know what it says and what they entail, or what you're signing your company up for when you get a contract.
And just to point
We
out,
can touch on all these in question and answer too.
yeah, we'll go back to when we get to the question part. People have questions. And I'll point out the advanced payment program in there as well. Somebody always asks, can't wait net 45, can't wait net 60 to get paid. It's in the bid manual, so if you got questions about it, yeah, we can definitely talk about it and kind of see what we can do.
And I'll touch on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah.
The advanced payment plan is this. A normal payment process is that you would submit your payment application to the general contractor on or about the 25th of the month. We would then submit it to the owner on the 30th of the month. Somewhere around 30 days later, the owner would pay us, and then the general contractor would pay the subcontractor potentially 7 to 15 days later. That's a total 45-day pay period. We're going to throw all that out the window and say, you're going to submit your pay application to us. After the owner approves the payment application, we're going to pay you within 5 days of it, regardless of whether we get our money from the owner. So we're going to take the risk as the general contractor, and Turner Brownstone is absorbing that risk for that 45 days, and we're going to pay our subcontractors in 5 days. Read the program. You have to sign up for it. This is not, you're automatically in the program, so go in, read it, understand it, and if you like it, then you can click the button when you're getting ready to get paid and be in the program.
Make it as easy as possible. So a little bit about the bid process. Right now, again, I'm not sure how everybody heard about it or if you saw it on the news, which is funny. We ran out of spaces actually to put up here. It's too many places. The main place, buildingconnected.com. That's where we're submitting bids. That's where we're taking bids. That's where we're issuing addendums. So anywhere else you're getting information, it's trust and believe. It's secondhand. It's also, the project is posted on our project website at buildingiaam.com. If you want to get a set of prints, we have teamed up with A&E Digital, a women-owned printing company downtown. So if you want a copy of the prints, it's posted right now. We also have it on South Carolina Business Opportunities. The City of Charleston's bid line, it's out there as well. I Square Foot, in these last few ones, it's kind of just got picked up. I Square Foot picked it up. Construction Journal, Construct Connect. I think it's posted in the Charleston Chronicle. Saw it this morning. And it also showed up on a few other news sites that was kind of posted on. So it's posted a lot of places.
Yes, and I would say this. We've been diligent pushing everything back to Building Connected. So if we've put something out there, we've placed a link. The link is pushing you back to Building Connected. So if you're not getting back to Building Connected, I would call David or I or Bobby to say, hey, do I have the correct documents? Because we can't control all those other ways. The best way for us to control it is to place a link to our site, which is Building Connected.
Yeah.
And that's going to always have the most current documents.
And that's a big piece of what we're looking at.
I just want to reiterate that we are not planning to maintain duplicate sites. We will have documents in one location, and that will be the Building Connected site. Okay.
You heard it from the source. He's controlling the main site. So definitely, again, David's contact's on there, Dan's contact, and myself. If there's any other questions, anybody else pointing you to something else out there, but believe me, this is the main person here that's going to get you connected to it. Again, November 16th is the bid date here at noon. And Dan kind of went over everything as kind of the timeline for everything to getting to issue of contracts and starting the construction. So on this project, we mentioned earlier, we're working with the City of Charleston, and this is a minority, women-owned business enterprise where our percentages that we're counting is it's got to go through and be certified through the City of Charleston. We have here today Ms. Ruth Jordan, which I always love just to kind of, you guys, make sure you meet and get to know her and understand, let's say it again, you gotta be certified through the City of Charleston. Does that mean if today, like she mentioned earlier, if you're not certified today but you still want to submit your bid, yes, submit your bid. You can still be certified through the process. We will identify you. If you already have if you're through SCDOT, this county, some other state like North Carolina's DBE system, submit that certification with your bid. We'll get it. We'll get it to Ms. Ruth, or you can actually reach out to her yourself, and we'll still get that certification going. We don't want anybody to be held back from it, but we do want to count those dollars. It's highly, highly important that we identify and we're able to give those opportunities because that is a big piece of the selection process. And so this is a good piece to explain. So even though if you're a minority women-owned business that cannot get a prime contract, that means we give you the direct drywall contract. That doesn't mean that everybody else who bid, you don't have an opportunity as well. So we're also looking at second tier, third tier, suppliers, vendors, any and everybody to have opportunities on the project. That if you want to be part of it, we want to be able to connect you with that prime contractor who got the first tier contract and be able to offer those opportunities to them as well. Because like we know, say there's a drywall company, we're going to need about 55 men and women on site for that drywall company, literally at the same time. A lot of drywall companies do not have 55 personnel on their payroll. They literally go and subcontract it out. And so that's where those opportunities lie at the second, third tier, and supplier and vendor levels. And so we want to be able to make sure that that opportunity is there. We will connect you directly to them to kind of give those additional opportunities. And we don't want to leave anybody out, but throw this out there as well. We cannot hire 10 painters on this project. We can't hire 10 drywallers on this project. The city of Charleston is expecting a certain amount of quality, a certain level of what they want expected in a world-class museum. So we want to be able to offer that opportunity by saying we're only going to hire one of those. But that's where you see the bid packages like David was mentioning and Dan pointed out. Go and look at some of the bid packages. We've broken them out way beyond the traditional projects where they try to lump everything into usually it's just one electrical contract and that's everything, So we're trying to break some of those things out to give more opportunities because we understand that while you might not have never done $1 million contract for something, maybe you can fit in at the $200,000, $100,000 level where it's something a little bit easier for you. And it's all about risk mitigation on this project. So that's why we don't want to give anybody, if you've never done $1 million contract for a scope award, we're probably not going to just up and give it to anybody on this project. And I might be speaking a little bit forward on that, but understand that that's where the second and third tier opportunities come in at. Yes.
What is the bonding requirement based on the scope of work and the contract amount that may be awarded? What is the bonding requirement if it's above certain numbers?
Sure. So your prime contractor, anything over $100,000, we're required to have a payment performance bond. Beyond that, we are going to run a subguard program, which Turner, Brownstone will run, which is no bond, and it'll be an evaluation of your current workload, abilities, financial wherewithal, and then so we always have that option.
So what is the amount of the bond to be?
Anything over $100,000 contract will require a bond. However, as I said, if you're not able to provide a bond, then we would have a conversation about whether or not we can put you in our subguard program based upon the volume of your contract as well as based upon your financials of your company.
If you're DOT certified, you still have to be city of Charleston certified?
Yes.
And the process is very simple. Sorry. It's a 2-page application. If you already South Carolina DOT or any other major certification, complete the 2-page application and you can be certified within 72 hours. See me immediately after the meeting.
I want to add one more thing. We're asking you to bid the project without a bond. So we're asking for a bond rate, should we choose to exercise it, and or a lump sum amount for your bond, should we choose to exercise it. But the base bid does not include a
So if you have multiple bids, right, that you award, and it exceeds an amount, you still have.
Good point. $50,000 paint package, no bond. $45,000 carpet package, no bond. It's at 65. Yeah, just together it was over 100. Yeah. So as long as you stay under 100, I'm not going to.
Yeah. Good questions. So I want to bring up, for the project. We're gonna open it up for questions here. We only got like 2 or 3 more slides. We'll open it up for questions, and we can get a whole lot more questions answered. I want to bring up Miss Allie, who's the guru behind our project website. You want me to pull it up for you? Or just leave this up there. I'll pull it up for you because you seem like you really want to point it out.
Sure. Yeah. Run through.
Yeah. Let's building connect.
There we go.
There we go. Building connected. Wanted to show you the project website. All right. You just want to point it out, or you can drop it.
If I can, yeah, if I can. Hi, I'm Allie. So I will be probably the person who's going to send you everything. That's why if you have not signed up on my sheet, I'm going to get all this information out to you. I know some of you didn't get the handout because I ran out of copies. So I'm going to send all of that information tomorrow morning in an email, along with this website, which is going to have everything, including that link to Building Connected and the link to the City of Charleston certification. So it'll all be on here. It's pretty, just building IAAM.com. I will also be posting the presentation for today on the homepage tomorrow. Our bidding information page is going to have all the information you guys are going to want to check out. So I'll have all the bid packages. Like I said, the Building Connected and AE Digital website links, along with all the certification links that you guys will need. So yeah, that'll all be on there. I update that pretty often. And we also have a section for FAQs and contact. So if you guys have any questions that you don't get to ask today or that you'd like to ask, you can submit it on the website, and that email will go directly to me, and I will forward that along to who it needs to go to. So, yeah.
Thank you. So the website is live. It is up and running. So if you haven't had a chance, you can jump on your phone right now and take a look at it. We're going to keep it pretty active and pretty live through the project. So you'll get project updates, and that'll be our way to communicate as well. So you're talking like everything from, we're looking at bid announcements, which you'll see all that information on there, project updates. We're even thinking about putting a little bit of our safety documents up there, like our SDS sheets, and any kind of trainings that we might lead. We're working right now on getting a live webcam once we get the site up and going. So again, it's that piece of connecting to the community, of keeping project timelines, letting you know where maybe the MWB dollars are at, what contractors do we have, and hopefully nobody's shy in here. But whoever wins the prime contract, we probably will put your information, at least a logo and a contact information, because again, we want to connect everybody in the community to you being the prime contractor for whatever that scope of work is. So we're going to keep the website pretty live and keep it up to date for everybody. And kind of last things we like to always do is kind of additional outreach. So November 7th at the Brownstone office from between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. If you want assistance with your bid, and we're not talking about we're going to come in there and we're going to do a takeoff for you or anything like that. Promise you we're not going to do that. Reach out to Kim Gardner and Darlene on there. And make sure you reach out and try to get on our schedule for that, because we are doing it by appointment, because we don't want like 30 people in a room and 30 different scopes of work, and we're all talking different languages. We want to be able to schedule you to come in. And that's if you need help with possibly looking at the contract, you don't understand some of the documents. Maybe there's questions about, I don't know, logistics, anything that you might have a question about. We want to be able to answer that for you. And you can get one-on-one face time with it. Other than that, we're actually saying to send all questions through Building Connected, and we'll answer it that way, which a few people in here have already done. We'll answer it directly like that. But this is your direct connect for November 7th. If you want to come into the office, sit down with us, we can explain. Even if you want to possibly, if your questions about should I submit a bid because I might be a third tier, second tier, come in and sit with us. We'll talk to you about it. We'll let you know kind of where you're at. And again, we will not help you put your bid together, but we will help you to understand kind of where you fit and where you can fall in at, and any other questions we might be able to answer for you. So other than that, that is it, and we will open it up for questions. Yes. I'm sorry, can't hear you. that's a bid package. It's out there. Oh, yeah. Any other questions?
There's a general trades package, should be one of those scopes.
I just wanted to clarify since we had mentioned that during the course.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to add if there's additional items that we missed, maybe send an email. Hey, what about this, what about this? 'Cause we try to be all inclusive when we're including a general trades package, and that's all that stuff that sometimes just falls out of these other larger bid packages that me as the guy trying to buy these packages, if someone doesn't necessarily want to perform those, they all kind of, aggregate to one package. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
looked at it, so that's just great.
I mean, yeah, we threw it out there. It was funny when we was writing that scope, and you're talking about thinking about logistics of a piece of the work. Down the walkway down here, we have to protect people that can still walk on the walkway. So we're talking about either throwing connexes out there, or if you're looking at the general trades, we're asking for carpentry, millwork, kind of canopy area for people to walk.
Flip back to that, you got one of those.
Kind of the site layout.
Yeah, while we're talking about it.
You know what, I'll just blow this up.
Can you play that video?
Oh, the video? Yeah, let's play.
Maybe you can pause it after you play it. That's all right.
Oh, I got you. Play full screen.
Well, again, David and I walked it before we came in here, so that walkway, that piece of sidewalk out there needs to stay open. So the only way for us to do that is to create, our vision was to create either a rough carpentry package that builds a protective cover. I don't know if you can pause it, but point to it when we get to it, but. Or we've talked about when you go down to a downtown site, especially big cities, you'll see those connexes that you can walk through. And all that doing is protecting, the pedestrians in case, once we get up to the first level, somebody doesn't pick a piece of rebar off and come down on someone's head. So right out in this area. When it kind of zooms on it, there it is right there. That's a U-shaped protection device of some sort. That's what that green is depicting.
It's the best animation we got.
We're going to protect the pedestrians. They're going to walk straight through here. So that should be in the general trades package.
That's in there.
That is in the general trade package.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that we defined. Did you find
Oh, yeah.
how to build it though?
I put it in two ways, either connexes or millwork structure of some kind of carpentry, canopy area.
Go in there and build it out of,
Whichever way is cheaper.
4x4s or 6x6 columns and those through that. Figure it out.
What's the requirement for if there is for term members to certifications, not certification, but qualifying?
With specific trades, so any package, really the only ones that we're gonna require necessarily is you're gonna have to have a business license. And then if you're in mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, you have to have those licenses. Other than that, I don't.
That's about it, yeah.
I mean, you have to be in business, right? You'll have to have a Charleston business license as well.
W-9, certificate of insurance.
Insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, mechanical, electrical, plumbing licenses, fire protection, has to be a nice free in North Carolina, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Is that required to be submitted with package? You just on the website.
Yeah, we're gonna go on our website and see if you have a business license and W-9.
Oh, yeah. LLR is an easy place to check. Make sure to see if you're a reputable company, or at least a company. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
In the bid package construction, it showed a substantial completion date was about March 2020, but in the timeline it said August.
Go by the schedule.
We're gonna correct that in the addenda.
Okay.
I think it was in the, ITV was incorrect, the schedule got updated, so the schedule.
Schedule. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that came in as an RFI already. So, yep, discrepancy, right?
Did you send the RFI?
Just glad somebody's reading this stuff.
Great.
That was a test.
Test.
Anybody else? It's a very thorough presentation.
You know what? You just overload them with information. That's how it goes. Give them too much. Well, definitely.
Great point that Allie made. We will post this. I did have several other folks. This is not a mandatory pre-bid, but we had a lot of other folks that asked, could we post this? So we will be posting this. So if you had other folks that weren't able to make it, they'll be able to go pick this up and glean any information that you can.
doing a joint venture piece and you award it to a big company, when it's our first time, our obligation is to, we doing our bidding to that company, we still have to submit something to them. Like we put me on the team up with this company, part of that piece, because it's just.
I'd probably say if you're joint venturing with somebody, it's all about whose name is going to be on the document, and that's how only one company can sign the contract. Let's say for drywall, only one company can sign on there. So if that means that you have to go and create yourself an LLC, an S corp, or whatever it is, figure it out and make it happen in order to come on the project. But if you're just submitting to one company, then that piece, whatever that company you're submitting to, will be the one that's on the contract, and they are the one that's held responsible for any liability and all that good stuff with that scope of work. So definitely think about some of that as you're coming to the table, because we can't sign up two companies under one contract. It'd have to be one company on that contract from that side, and we want to be able to make it work. Yes.
So if I was going out to these city lights and I'm gonna utilize these points, they have to be vetted through your process as well, or do they just fall under the one company?
So our contract is gonna tell you, if you read our 436, which is our standard form of agreement, it's gonna tell you that we have the right to reject any subcontract. So, all that we're gonna ask is that you vet them. You vet them and you can prove that this is a viable company. We're not gonna reasonably reject that subcontract.
So that wouldn't delay if I had questions about submitting.
Right. That's right. That's exactly right. It won't be reasonably rejected.
Let me ask this in the room. We usually don't ask this at pre-bids, but who in here is going to probably go after a prime contract, whether it be concrete, drywall, painting, or whatnot? All right. Who in here possibly is going to go after a second tier or third tier contract? All right. So here, after we finish, please make sure you start networking with everybody in here, because there's companies that are like Christopher Green, the Job Corps, who, if you need labor and you need assistance for some of that, they actually have people who are ready to go, and they can help you out with some of that as well as some of your labor needs. And so we definitely want to make sure that people are connected in here. And hopefully, if you're a second tier, you don't walk out of the room not meeting one of these first tiers and trying to create that relationship. And like Dan and Dave said, go after multiple packages. Maybe not stretch your company so thin of something you've never done, but definitely go after multiple packages. This is open to any and everybody, and we're not excluding anybody from the process of at least submitting a bid. So definitely, yes.
I'm sorry, Bobby, you're encouraging your prime to have your subs or tier 2s and 3s be certified in the city of Charleston, that they get credit that way too.
Oh yeah.
So repeat that.
Yeah. Yes. We are encouraging any and everybody that is part of the process to become certified minority women-owned contractor, DBE, with the city of Charleston. We want to make sure, again, that everybody's included, everybody gets an opportunity. And as a prime contractor, a little bit of the goals are going to pot, even though if you're a non-MWBE, we still want you to be able to work towards that goal. And if you looked in the bid package, we actually do ask you, who are you going out after? List out who those people are. And trust and believe, we are following up with every last one of those people to kind of avoid the process of sometimes people just going down a phone book and listing people, or going into the city directory and just start naming people that they've never spoken to.
It is part of the bid submittal requirements. You've got bid form, scope of work, and you've got that documentation to submit as well as part of your bid.
So you do have DBE compliance, just like they said in the packet, there is 6 pages about DBE compliance. And to all you primes who may get the contract, and you do want to list all your subs, and if they are DBE certified, then you do get part of the credit.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's how we're counting it. It's the only way we can count it. Is even though you get $1 million contract, if you can get 50% of that, if you're $500,000 you're giving out to a minority women-owned business, we have to figure that out. We want you to identify it, because we're going to count those dollars at your second and third tier levels. We're getting really deep into this. Like, we're getting down to your suppliers and vendors. If you can get diversified with your suppliers and vendors, regardless, we always use this as an example. Say it's Carrier, and I don't want to call it wrong, but say it's Carrier or Train and some of your HVAC equipment. We understand that that is a specified piece of equipment that you can't get around. There's no way they're going to specify something different in the spec. But guess what? If it's coming from Milwaukee or something, you can put it onto a minority or women-owned business hauling company or transportation company, and that will count as well as a second tier, third tier, or vendor. So getting into that kind of diversity or kind of getting it pretty deep, we're going that deep into it because we want to know all that stuff. And we're also going to list out a bunch of companies as well. We're going to provide those lists, and if you got questions about it, Darlene and Kim can help you out to identify how can you kind of get creative with some of your ways of getting more companies involved. That's kind of it on the end of the day. And I think there was a question back here, and I'm come back here. Yes.
I started the email last week and responded in 20 minutes, kind of talking about responding. We talked about low voltage. When we do electronic doors, we're used to doing the construction phase as you're finishing up, coming in and putting the wiring and all that stuff in. Now we're kind of still working on how y'all gonna accept the bid on that, because it was a little weird.
That'll be in the addendum on Friday. It'll be a separate bid package.
Okay.
Security and communications, we're still kind of in flux, so they'll be coming out Friday.
And also the audit also.
I'm sorry it took me.
Security guard,
I'm sorry it took me as long as 20 minutes to get back to you.
Yeah, but trust and believe. If you send a question on Building Connected, we all three get it. David is usually the first one to jump on it because he don't want us to respond first, so he jumps on it.
I would say this, if it's quick, whoever I find the documents, David's going to respond. If it's information that I have to disseminate to the entire bidding population, it's going to come to the agenda. So if you don't get a response like that, then that means the question you asked has to go in the agenda.
Question right here.
As it relates to, I heard you mention suppliers. Do you guys have a separate category that you separate that out for suppliers who supply electrical, wiring, how is that broken out for those categories?
Because we're not taking any direct equipment or anything for ourselves, we definitely like supply diverse suppliers in Columbia and things like that. We want to be able to get that directly to whoever the electrical contractor is, so they can get diversified in what they're kind of bringing onto the project and procuring. So that's that piece of anybody, and it doesn't matter who it is. We want to get those companies to the prime contractor, so they can get the work.
The prime contractor is responsible for reporting it and doing their proposal.
We're going to capture it. We're going to ask as much as possible. Yes.
on the PAP portion of the submitting the PAP, would that be gotten through via email, submittal?
Text.
Some secretary.
Yep. So Textura, we're using Textura on the project, and we
The
identify.
question, so just so everybody gets the question was about payment applications, and so everything's done digital through Textura. So if you use Textura in the past, it's just a platform where you can submit your pay application, so it's not paper. There is a cost to Textura, but it's also should be part of your bid, but it's a platform that allows everybody to submit their application digital, get paid digital, so much more efficient than the paperwork.
Yeah, ACH. As soon as we get the check, we give you the check instantly. Yes.
Okay, say for instance, like the site work, can you bid for that as the whole package, or do you have all the other breakdown?
Right now, the way the bid package is broken out, it is site work as by itself, and so we kind of looked at it from a building excavating and things like that, and then we have also kind of a concrete flat work part of it as well, so sidewalks and kind of curb and gutter and things like that. So those two are broken out. Then you have landscaping as well. That's a separate package.
Hardscapes, yeah.
Hardscapes.
Pavers are a separate bid package. Tiles are a separate bid package. So example, on the site work, if you're looking to do just like utilities, right now, the way the package is written, we probably want to pair you up with a prime site work contractor.
Yeah, right now, it's written as site work and site utility right now.
So if you got any questions like that, and if you're not finding it, shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm glad to point you in the right direction.
Good question. Any other questions?
I asked a question about, on cleaning, do the cleaning of the building have to come to the main contractor, or are we gonna sub that out as
final cleaning, we'll have final cleaning and a glass cleaning package. We might break those, we might put them together. That's not currently listed as one of these. We will be contracting that for what we typically consider a general requirements package. And there's probably another handful of general requirements packages that we'll be procuring that are not part of what we would consider the traditional direct work packages. So final cleaning's not out yet.
So if you don't see a bid package for that,
That
go
would
ahead
be
and submit it on your paper and submit it through email.
dumpsters, porta johns.
Mhm.
Don't know how much of that went to general trade.
Oh, yeah. A lot of that went.
All of that went to general
Yeah,
trade.
I dumped a lot of that, but final cleaning and final washing, no, yeah.
So Bobby and I need to figure out how much security we want, when, and how many security guards. Right now, the bid documents say that the site is open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. We have to get permission to work after those hours or Saturdays and Sundays. It doesn't mean we're not going to work those weekends or after hours. We just have to get permission to do so. So we need to do a little analysis. Okay, how long do we need the security guards at? So many dollars an hour for 18 months can get a little pricey. So we only want to have them when we need them.
So is the site going to be secured 24 hours?
Yeah, oh yeah. And that's one of the ones in the general trades package of the fencing, kind of that security piece of it, and it's all kind of in there bundled together. I mentioned that too, as a matter of fact. For some of them, say like the general trades package, it's a long list of just stuff that's in there. It's not saying for that one bid do you have to bid it all. Just bid what's in there and what you can do. If you can't do it all, or you can't do most of it, still put your price in there. You want to submit a bid. Like, just don't look at it and don't try it. If you can't do it all, list what you can do. Because we're going to be analyzing that piece of what we might have to break some of these packages down a little bit further. We might have to look at it from a side of what's available, what can we do, and then we might get directed by the city to do the same thing. So it's that piece of the more you give, the better it'll help us out to kind of look at what can we do to include a few more people and be inclusive as possible. Any other questions? Man, we threw that much information out there. Nobody has questions. It's a good thing. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming out. We'll be up here to answer questions, and thank you for coming.
Hi, George Bridger.
Bobby Teachy, good to meet you. So I'm gonna try to put it on the last slide so then people always want contact information. There we go. Help them out.